Last night, I learned how to be a lover of God, to live in this world and call nothing my own. I looked inward, and the beauty of my own emptiness filled me till dawn. It enveloped me like a mine of rubies. Its hue clothed me in red silk. Within the cavern of my own soul, I heard the voice of a lover crying, "Drink now, drink now." I took a sip and saw the vast ocean, wave upon wave, caressed my soul. The lovers of God dance around, and the circle of their steps becomes a ring of fire round my neck. Heaven calls me with its rain and thunder, 100,000 cries, yet I cannot hear. All I hear is the call of my beloved.
In this poem, we get a wonderful glimpse of awakening, not some vague description of a peaceful state, but rather a vivid account in this shift in consciousness. Rumi tells us that he has learned how to be a lover of God, in other words, to awaken, by renouncing the material possessions of this world, and most importantly, his sense of self. In this awakened state, he's no longer concerned about his reputation, poems, ideas, knowledge, or even influence. All these things have been anchors, just like they are anchors in our present day, tying down our souls from actually awakening. And when he looked inward to find the true essence of his being, he realized that there really is no Jalaluddin or Rumi. There is no sense of self. Because who we really are is consciousness, is God, is Source, or the Beloved. Once we recognize and experience this, we learn that our sense of self doesn't really exist, and that we are just reflections of the one Source. Rumi realized this as well. Rather than becoming fearful of his annihilated self, he takes pleasure in the beauty of his own emptiness. That emptiness is another word for endless space, which we associate with God. God does not have a form like we do, so in order to become like God, or more aptly, become God, we must lose our form. We must lose our sense of self, the thing that most of us identify as the ego. And interestingly enough, this awakened state that Rumi talks about is not just a state of utter bliss and peace, but also passionate love. The kind of love that never stops burning, that brings us to tears of joy, that makes us feel what we've never felt before. We can't experience this on the surface of our daily lives, just like we can't find rubies lying around on the ground. We have to travel deep into the cavern of our soul to find awakening's treasure. And as we journey further and further, the Beloved will encourage us to come closer and closer. There will be a voice, an intuition, that gently nudges us to drink in this moment, this experience, for we must nourish our soul, the soul that we have deprived and neglected by following our ego's whims and desires. But once we take a sip and get a taste of this new experience, we will see a vast ocean, which is a common metaphor for God. Attar mentions this ocean as well, perhaps alluding to the fact that all rivers will eventually end up in the ocean. All souls will eventually return to their Creator. And in this mystical experience, we not only see God, but experience Him as well. We will actually feel His love caressing our soul like endless waves caress the shore. Now, with a poem this beautiful, it's sometimes hard to extract the wisdom that we can apply in our lives because the poetry is so magnetic. But that's the beauty of a lot of Rumi's poems. He not only penned some truly divine lines, but his poetry also reflected the timeless wisdom that we need to travel down a similar path as him and reach the ocean. When we walk down this path toward our beloved, we will naturally attract similar energies and people who are on the same wavelength, yearning to reach the ocean. These lovers of God are like a teacher, just like Rumi is our teacher. They are much farther on this spiritual journey than we are and constantly turn back to encourage us and give us guidance. The circle of their steps, which is a wonderful reference to the Sufi mystic dance of Sama, draws us even closer to the beloved, burning every last bit of our ego that we carry with us. Finally, we earn an entrance to heaven, an entrance to peace and bliss, which calls out to us in 100,000 cries. But remarkably, the true lover does not stop here. Even as amazing as heaven is, it is nothing if we are not united with our beloved. Thus, the true lover will even forsake the concept of heaven to return back to their home. Such is how strong and selfless their love is. This could be interpreted in several ways, but how I read this is that people of faith who try to get closer to God only to receive the reward of heaven are not traveling this path out of true love. Their love is conditional. But for the true lover, someone like Rumi, for example, there is no material or spiritual reward great enough to make us want to forget our beloved. We love simply to love. We exist simply to be reunited and nothing more. And this is what it means to truly awaken. To not only feel at peace with ourselves, but to go a step further and completely lose ourselves. Lose the sense of self we developed over the years to return home to our source and be embraced by its pure and undying love. So will you listen? Will you hear the call of your beloved?